Hare Krishna, everyone, and welcome all of you for today's Srimad Bhagavatam session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 3, entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Text 43. कृष्णे स्वधामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह कलौ नष्टदृशामेष पुराणार्कोऽधुनोदितः. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaраvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Suta Goswami continued. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Sri Krishna has his eternal Dhama or abode, where he eternally enjoys himself with his eternal associates and paraphernalia. And his eternal abode is a manifestation of his internal energy, whereas the material world is a manifestation of his external energy. When he descends on the material world, he displays himself with all paraphernalia in his internal potency, which is called Atma Maya. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he descends by his own potency, Atma Maya. His form, name, fame, paraphernalia, abode, etc. are not, therefore, creations of matter. He descends to reclaim the fallen souls and to re-establish codes of religion which are directly enacted by him. Except for God, no one can establish the principles of religion. Either he or a suitable person empowered by him can dictate the codes of religion. Real religion means to know God, our relationship with him, and our duties in relation with him, and to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. The conditioned souls who are entrapped by the material energy hardly know all these principles of life. Most of them are like animals, engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. They are mostly engaged in sense enjoyment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, or salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of Kali, quarrel, or Kali-yuga. In the Kali-yuga, the population is just a royal edition of the animals. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly religious life. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego, but they are very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. They can risk their lives to become a dog or hog just after leaving the present body, for they have completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared before us just a little prior to the beginning of the Kali-yuga, and he returned to his eternal home practically at the commencement of Kali-yuga. While he was present, he exhibited everything by his different activities. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita specifically and eradicated all pretentious principles of religiosity. And prior to his departure from this material world, he empowered Sri Vyasadeva through Narada to compile the messages of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and thus both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. In other words, if men in this age of Kali want to see the real light of life, they must take these two books only, and their aim of life will be fulfilled. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum of life, Lord Sri Krishna personified. We must therefore accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the direct representation of Lord Krishna. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can also see Lord Sri Krishna in person. They are identical. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, welcome all of you once again for the Bhagavatam session after quite a long gap. So, today we are talking about a very, very important verse. This verse is directly the answer to the question, one of the questions asked by the sages of Naimisharanya. The sages had asked, after Lord Krishna departed from this material world, wound up his leelas, and went back to the spiritual world, where have the principles of dharma gone to take shelter? This was the question, specific questions asked by the sages of Naimisharanya. And this verse is directly the reply to that particular question. So Suta Goswami is telling here, Krishne swadhamopagate dharma jnanadibhi saha kalau nashta drishamesha puranarko adhunoditaha. Krishne, in Krishna's swadhama, his own abode, upagate, having returned. After Krishna returned back to his own abode, the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavana. And when he went, what happened? Dharma jnanadibihi saha. He was accompanied, saha, he was accompanied, combined together, along with, he was accompanied by dharma and jnana, and etc. Adibihi, combined together, and etc. Adibihi also means etc. So dharma, the principles of religion, and jnana, transcendental knowledge, all of these also accompanied the Lord when he went back to the spiritual world. So when the Lord was present in this material world 5,000 years ago as the original personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, along with him, the principles of dharma and knowledge and all other opulences of the Lord had all descended along with him. In fact, Srila Prabhupada explains that when Krishna appeared in this material world, along with him, all his other Narayana expansions also had accompanied him in his transcendental body. That means, now this particular description is not there for other avatars. For other avatars, just that particular avatara descends, he performs his leelas and he goes back. But when Krishna had appeared, within the transcendental body of Krishna, all the other expansions of Krishna had also appeared in this material world. And not only all his other expansions, but all his different varieties of energies had also appeared. Parasya Shaktihi Vividaiva Shruyate. Different kinds of Shaktis, different kinds of energies of the Lord had also appeared in this material world along with Lord Krishna. So, when the Lord decided to wind up his Leelas in the material world and return back to his original abode, at that time he went back along with all of his energies and expansions who had actually accompanied him. And here specifically it is said, Dharma Jnanadibhi Saha. So the Lord returned to his Dhama, to his abode, accompanied by Dharma, the principles of religion, and Jnana, knowledge, Adibihi, etc., other energies of the Lord also. So the Lord went away with him, with all these things. Now, what is the result of that? Kalau nashta drisham esha. Nashta drisham is a very beautiful expression. Drisham means, drishya means what we see. Drisham means the ability to see, sight. That is called drisham. Nashta drisham means losing sight. Persons who have lost their sight, they are called nashta drisha. And in this Kali Yuga, Kalau, in the Kali Yuga, people who have lost their sight, why did they lose their sight? Why do people in Kali Yuga lose their sight? Is it that they are physically blind? No, Krishna has blessed everybody with two eyes. So physical eyes we have, but it's not talking about the physical blindness. It's talking about spiritual blindness. Why we have all become spiritually blinded? Because we have forgotten Krishna. We are not able to connect this material existence, material world with Krishna. We have forgotten Krishna. Krishna is out of the picture. Therefore, we are all called Nashtadrisham. Kalau Nashtadrisham Eshaha. All these people in Kali Yuga Eshaha. For them, Krishna has made an alternate arrangement. Even though he went back along with Jnana, Dharma, everything, he went back, took it with him, went back to the spiritual world. But for the sake of the Nashtadrishas, the people in Kali Yuga who have lost their sight, who have lost their connection with Krishna, who are in ignorance, for them, Krishna made one sun to rise in this Kali Yuga. Arkaha. Arka is sun, actually. We have this place in the east coast of our country, Konark. Kona Arka, actually. Kona plus Arka. Kona means angle. Arka means sun. That's a sun temple, right, in Konark. So Arka means sun. So here the word is used, another beautiful word, Purana Arkaha. Purana Arkaha. Purana means the Vedic scripture, the Purana. So Krishna has made an alternate arrangement to cure the blindness of people in this Kali Yuga after his departure. And that is Purana Arkaha Adhunoditaha. Uditaha. Uditaha means Udaya means to rise. So there is a Purana which is as brilliant as the sun, which has risen in this Kali Yuga. And Sutta Goswami is saying Adhuna Uditaha. Adhuna means just now. This is in the very beginning of Kali Yuga, isn't it? When Sutta Goswami is addressing all the sages of Naimisharanya. That was a time when recently Krishna had wound up his Leelas and he had gone back to the spiritual world. And therefore here Sutta Goswami is saying Purana Arkaha Adhunoditaha. Just now. Adhunaha means just now. When the Lord has departed, he has made this brilliant sun called the Bhagavata Purana to rise and shine brightly so that all the people in this Kali Yuga who are in dense darkness of ignorance, who have lost their vision, they can all get this light from this Bhagavata Purana. So such a beautiful verse, isn't it? Now this verse is very beautiful because of many reasons. First reason is that this verse is proving that there is no difference between Srimad Bhagavatam and Lord Krishna. Right? So Krishna, as soon as he departed from this material world, Kali-yuga began, and Kali-yuga is an age of quarrel and hypocrisy, and people in Kali-yuga are blind spiritually. So Krishna has made an arrangement. Yes, I may not be physically present. I have to go back to my spiritual abode, but I am leaving behind a brilliant sun which will guide the humanity in Kali Yuga towards Dharma, towards Jnana, towards Krishna. And that is Purana Arkaha, right? So this verse is establishing very firmly that there is no difference between Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Krishna. This we have seen in the previous purport also. Prabhupada said, one can derive all the benefits that one which one can derive by physical presence of Krishna, by physical association of Krishna, by the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So that is one important reason why this verse is very special. Now the second uh, reason is uh, this verse is also telling us that there is hope in Kali Yuga. Even though Kali Yuga is such a degraded age, practically there is no scope for spiritual advancement in Kali Yuga. Still, there is a ray of hope in Kali Yuga, and that ray of hope is actually Srimad Bhagavatam. In Kali Yuga, there are no other religious principles other than those which are explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhagavata Dharma is the dharma for everybody in this Kali Yuga. That is another important thing that this verse is establishing, right? And it is specifically tailor-made for Kali Yuga people, Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And third reason why it is very nice is because the beautiful expressions used here, two important expressions, Nashtadrusham, Puranarkaha. These two things we have to remember. Nashtadrusham means in Kali Yuga, people have lost their sight. We are all Nashtadrushas. Duradrushta. Duradrushta means one who is very unfortunate. Why we are unfortunate? Because we are not able to perceive the reality. The things happening in Kali Yuga are such that they blind us, they push us more and more into sinful activities. The things which are promoted in Kali Yuga, the things which are glamorized in Kali Yuga, are all leading us to fall into hellish conditions. We are becoming blind to our own self realization. Forget about understanding Krishna. People in Kali Yuga don't even know that we are not the body, we are spirit soul. That is the kind of degradation in Kali Yuga. So in this situation, we are all Nashtadrisha, but there is a Purana Arka. There is a sun of Bhagavata Purana which has risen in the sky, and anybody who takes to this Bhagavata Purana, studying of Bhagavatam under the guidance of a person Bhagavata, pure devotee, that is like Srila Prabhupada, then one can gain wisdom, one can gain sight, knowledge, and one will be able to perceive the reality even in this dense darkness of Kali Yuga, and one will be able to make his way back to Godhead. So this is a hope-giving verse, very, very important, right? It gives a hope. And that is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended among all scriptures, why did he specifically recommend Srimad Bhagavatam? That is because of this reason only. Bhagavatam is specifically meant for guiding people in Kali Yuga. It is tailor-made for people in Kali Yuga. And simply by taking up this Bhagavata philosophy and applying it in our daily lives, we can attain the highest perfection. So what a great fortune we all have got. Every day we have to just study Bhagavatam. Hear Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. If we do this, then we can actually attain perfection of life. And Srila Prabhupada, who is actually the Yoga Acharya for this Kali Yuga, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the great Acharyas in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, he has specifically given us this Bhagavatam. And this Bhagavatam was only available for Indians. That too, those who were familiar with Sanskrit language. Of course, Bhagavatam was explained by so many other great authorities in vernacular languages in India, but it was Srila Prabhupada for the first time in the history of mankind who has actually taken Bhagavatam to the whole world, isn't it? Imagine today the Westerners are chanting, the Westerners are following Bhagavata Dharma, Krishna consciousness, Krishna Bhakti, and they are studying Bhagavatam. It is all because of the efforts of Srila Prabhupada. There is no doubt about it. After Srila Prabhupada, there may be so many people who are writing commentaries on Bhagavatam, explaining and all of those things. But the pioneer is Srila Prabhupada, definitely. And that is why when Prabhupada had retired to Vrindavan, he actually prepared himself before going to the US. His Guru Maharaj had told him to go to the US. He said, I don't want to go empty handed. In fact, in one place, Prabhupada says, you know, I want to take Bhagavatam with me. Bhagavatam is going to the US to preach, and I am accompanying Bhagavatam as the servant of Bhagavatam. So look at the humility of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada himself is a person Bhagavatam, isn't it? He's a pure devotee, Mahabhagavata. But he didn't want to go alone. He actually went as a servant of Srimad Bhagavatam to the Western world. That shows his great faith in Bhagavatam. See, Prabhupada, why he is such a charismatic leader, charismatic personality, is because he was so much convinced in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada did not say, anyway, I have assimilated all the message of Bhagavatam. I can only give Bhagavatam classes. Why do we need this book? He did not say like that. He said, I must present this Bhagavatam to the whole world. This is very important. So, when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, earlier in Vamshi Gopalji temple, and later Prabhupada shifted to Sri Radha Damodar temple, in both these places, Prabhupada would, he would go on writing translations for the first canto of Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada personally, he had a typewriter which somebody had gifted him. And Prabhupada did not know how to type. In his one finger, he typed the whole Bhagavatam first canto. And the first canto of Bhagavatam was published in 3 volumes. 3 volumes. And Prabhupada took these 3 volumes of Bhagavatam first canto uh, along with him on board Jaladuta, and he delivered the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is non-different from Krishna, to the Western world, to the whole world, isn't it? So, Prabhupada is a pure messenger of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is actually meant to eradicate our spiritual blindness in this dense darkness of Kali-yuga. And therefore, Prabhupada is a person Bhagavatam who delivered Srimad Bhagavatam to the whole world. So, the conviction of Srila Prabhupada in what is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. And so Prabhupada, with so much conviction he presented, and those who are fortunate, we all have accepted this presentation of Srila Prabhupada. And now, not only we should practice it, we should also be able to help Srila Prabhupada reach out Srimad Bhagavatam to more and more souls, the blind souls in this age of Kali-yuga, and turn them also towards Krishna. Everybody's life is dark in Kali-yuga, especially because nobody is interested in spiritual life. Most of the people, 99% of the people are not interested. They're so materialistic. As Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, very nicely Prabhupada says that, in the Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal edition of the animals. So look at the uh, interesting way Prabhupada is presenting. This is so nice. One of the qualities of a pure devotee is that he is a kavi. Kavi means a poet. He is very poetic. in his presentation. So his words are very, very appealing, not only philosophically, but they are also very nice to hear, even to the ear. Correct? So, in Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal edition of the animals, Prabhupada is saying. In other place, Prabhupada says, dog is running on four legs, you are running on four wheels, and you're thinking you are very advanced. It's just a polished animal civilization, Prabhupada used to call. So, royal edition of the animals. That's a very interesting way. Just like Vyasadeva has used in the verses, like I pointed out today, Purana Arkaha. These are very, Purana is a different word, Arka is a different word. But Vyasadeva has combined these two words, and it's not a comparison, it's not a simile, it is a metaphor. Simile means when you say Bhagavatam is like the sun, right? Then it is simile. But metaphor means Bhagavatam is the sun. So that is Purana Arka, isn't it? Now, Prabhupada, who is a representative of Srila Vyasadeva, in English, he is presenting the Kali Yuga population is not like, Prabhupada is using metaphor here, is just a royal edition of the animals. Prabhupada is not saying that Kali Yuga population is like the royal edition of the animals. Then it would be simile, it's comparison. But here it is a definitive statement, metaphor it is. Kali Yuga population is just a royal edition of the animals. And it includes all of us, of course, right? Many times when we read such statements in Prabhupada's books, we think, oh, this is only for materialistic people. It is not for me. But we are also part of the Kali Yuga, right? We are all part of the Kali Yuga population. So when we read such statements, yes, we should remember that, yes, we are also part of this royal edition of the animals. But luckily for us, Srila Prabhupada has come with the Purana Arka, the sun, Bhagavatam in his hand, and he is shining forth that knowledge. And as long as we stick to this knowledge and stick to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, yes, we will progress beyond this royal edition of the animals and we will actually attain self-realization and go back to Krishna. But if we become callous, if we don't follow Prabhupada's instructions, then we are back to the royal edition of the animals, right? So we should be very careful. So Prabhupada is saying, in the Kali Yuga, population is just a royal edition of the animals. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly religious life. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego, right? But they are very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. Yes, this is all our symptoms only, and people around us are like that. In fact, Prabhupada is being little magnanimous here when he says that they are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego. In fact, 99% of the people cannot see anything beyond their gross body and the pleasures associated with the gross body. Forget about subtle mind, intelligence, and ego. That is a very lesser number of population. But major population are those like animals. They cannot see anything beyond their gross body and the pleasures associated with the gross body. Still, they think that they're very, very advanced in knowledge, science, and technology. So that is the thing. There is a saying: a person who is actually sleeping, you can make attempts to wake him up. But if a person is pretending to sleep, whatever attempts you make to wake that person, they will all be useless. Because he's actually pretending to sleep. Similarly, a person is actually ignorant. He can be guided. When proper knowledge is presented, he will actually accept it. But in Kali Yuga, the problem is people are ignorant, but they think that they are very knowledgeable. That is the problem. So when they think that I am very knowledgeable and I don't have to hear I don't have to hear from Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, that's the danger. Right? A person who does not know and he knows that he does not know, he is better situated than a person who actually thinks that he knows, even though he does not know. Isn't it? So there are people in this world who don't know, but they think that they know so much. Now that's the problem. That's the kind of people all of us are. So, but still, Prabhupada is so merciful, and he is so mercifully presenting to us this matchless gift of Krishna consciousness, and he's trying to change us from the royal edition of animals to residents of Vaikuntha. It's a very big transformation. It's a giant leap from royal edition of animals to the residents of Vaikuntha. What a upgradation Prabhupada is giving us, isn't it? So, uh, especially the first canto purports are very, very beautiful. Of course, all the purports of Prabhupada are very nice. The first canto purports are really very, 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 I would say, eye-opening. We should read them again and again. And this helps us to appreciate what Prabhupada is trying to give us. Many times we have our own reasons why we don't want to practice Krishna consciousness very seriously. We are stuck with reasons. Oh, I have so many responsibilities. I have many other challenges in life. I have difficulties. But just study the life of Srila Prabhupada, the hard struggle that Prabhupada took up in order to reach out Krishna conscious message to all of us, in order to reach out Bhagavatam philosophy to all of us. Compared to his struggle, our challenges are nothing actually. Our challenges are nothing. You know, Generally we think, our own challenges to be very big. The mind magnifies our problems and challenges, difficult situations and scenarios in life. But we should actually study Prabhupada's life. Prabhupada, how much hardships he took. In fact, Bhagavatam itself is full of such Mahabhagavatas like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, all these Parikshit Maharaj. The challenges, the difficulties that they faced, in comparison to that, our problems are nothing actually, insignificant. Therefore, one advantage of reading Srila Prabhupada's life and Srimad Bhagavatam is also that we stop cribbing, we stop complaining about things which are not okay in our life. Instead, we can take inspiration from the lives of these pure devotees, the pure Bhagavatas, and it can help us. It can help us become, you know, in one sense, uh, indifferent towards our problems. You know, and we can actually focus on the primary goal of life, taking inspiration from Srila Prabhupada and other pure devotees mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So in Kali-yuga, another reason why people are blind is because they are too much bothered about their own problems. They're bogged down by their own personal challenges. They can't see anything beyond that. In fact, the empathy level of people has come down so much. Any person who you meet, he will always talk about his own problems and challenges. He will not even think that, oh, there are other people who are suffering more than me. In front of my own eyes, I'm seeing. So that kind of an empathy is not there because too much bogged down by one's own problems, engrossed, you know, that also blinds us. That actually makes us our vision very narrow, very short-sighted. So studying Bhagavatam will also help us because, for example, in the eighth canto we see Gajendra. Now, Gajendra is such a powerful person, powerful animal, but even he had to go through miseries when he was attacked by a crocodile, right? And and see, if you compare our life with Gajendra, we are better situated than Gajendra because we have got this human life, human body, where we can practice Krishna consciousness, we can learn how to serve the Lord and his devotees. We can learn this human body machine, mind body system, can be trained much better than an animal like an elephant. So in that way, we can be more hopeful to make more progress in Krishna consciousness than Gajendra. There's no doubt about it, isn't it? Or we see Dhruva Maharaj in the fourth canto of Bhagavatam. 5-year-old boy feels humiliated when his stepmother, speaks in a bad way, ill treats him. And he has that Kshatriya spirit to fight back. But at the right time, he got the guidance from his mother and Narad Muni, and he took up devotional service. So, from this, what do we understand? Yes, there are people who comment on us, they'll criticize us, but the frustration that may come into our life because of others' words of criticism or humiliation that we face can be turned into an opportunity to see Krishna if we take up Krishna consciousness seriously under the guidance of a pure devotee spiritual master like Dhruva Maharaj. So, all these case studies of Bhagavatam, when we study carefully, it is all related to our life. We can see how we can, Bhagavatam is, I would say, it is a book which teaches us the art of true perception, proper perception. Instead of getting bogged down by our own challenges, see what great personalities have done. You know, Pandavas, for example, what all they had to go through because they were on the side of Dharma. And they patiently tolerated all of that depending on the Lord. So, our life, the challenges that we are going through, it may be health issues, it may be relationship issues, it may be so many financial crises. These problems are nothing compared to the challenges faced by the Pandavas. Nothing actually. Our problems are nothing. So, this vision also, this perception also we can gain by carefully studying Bhagavatam. So, therefore, instead of getting bogged down by our own situations, problems in life, we should open our eyes. There is a brilliant sun of Bhagavata, Srimad Bhagavatam, shining, waiting to eradicate all the ignorance in our life, ready to give us the ultimate, real, powerful perceptions to transcend these temporary miseries of life and focus our attention on Krishna. So Prabhupada is ending this purport with a very powerful statement. Prabhupada is saying, we must therefore accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the direct representation of Lord Krishna. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can also see Lord Sri Krishna in person. They are identical. See, again, Prabhupada is stressing this point. If you are able to see Bhagavatam, then you are actually seeing Krishna. Seeing Bhagavatam means understanding Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavatam. If you do this on a daily basis, Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishyati, as Kapila Deva says in the third canto of Bhagavatam, by hearing Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishyati, one by one these three things will develop in us. First Shraddha, and then Ratihi, attachment to the Lord, and then Bhakti, pure love for Krishna, will manifest within our hearts. So, seeing Bhagavatam, it means being able to see Krishna. They are both identical. So that's a very powerful statement that towards the end of this purport. Let's go to the next shloka, text 44. Tatra kirtayato vipra viprarshir tejasaha aham chadhyagamam tatra nivishtastanugrahat soham va shravayishyami yatadhitam yathamati. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Sutta Goswami continued, O learned Brahmanas, when Shukadev Goswami recited Bhagavatam there in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention, and thus by his mercy I learned the Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear, the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One can certainly see directly the presence of Lord Sri Krishna in the pages of Bhagavatam if one has heard it from a self-realized great soul like Shukadev Goswami. One cannot, however, learn Bhagavatam from a bogus hired reciter whose aim of life is to earn some money out of such recitation and employ the earning in sex indulgence. No one can learn Srimad Bhagavatam. No one can learn Srimad Bhagavatam from a person who is associated with persons engaged in sex life. That is the secret of learning Bhagavatam. Nor can one learn Bhagavatam from one who interprets the text by his mundane scholarship. One has to learn Bhagavatam from the representative of Shukadev Goswami and no one else. If one at all wants to see Lord Sri Krishna in the pages, that is the process, and there is no alternative. Suta Goswami is a bona fide representative of Shukadev Goswami because he wants to present the message which he received from the great learned Brahmana. Shukadev Goswami presented Bhagavatam as he heard it from his great father, and so also Suta Goswami is presenting Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Shukadev Goswami. Simple hearing is not all. One must realize the text with proper attention. The word Nivishta means that Suta Goswami drank the juice of Bhagavatam through his ears. That is the real process of receiving Bhagavatam. One should hear with rapt attention from the real person, and then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. The secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. No one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. But somehow or other, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person, at the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Sri Krishna in person in the pages of Bhagavatam. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. A very beautiful verse and a very, very beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. So first let us examine the verse. Tatra, Suta Goswami is continuing, he is trying to tell the uh, sages of Naimisharanya about how he got to hear this Bhagavatam. So he's saying, Tatra, there means the place exactly where Maharaj Parikshit had retired to, the banks of Ganga river, where he met Shukadev Goswami, who recited the entire Bhagavatam. That is the place, Tatra. Tatra Kirtayato Vipraha. Vipraha, O Brahmanas, O learned Brahmanas, all the sages of Naimisharanya, Kirtayataha, while reciting this Bhagavatam, Viprarsher Bhuri Tejasaha. These two adjectives, Viprarshi and Bhuri Tejasaha, they are applying to Shukadev Goswami. So Viprarshi, Vipra Rushihi, the great Brahmana Rishi, the great Brahmana Rishi, that is the son of Vyasadeva, Shukadev Goswami, who is Bhuri Tejasaha, who is greatly powerful, right? Very, very powerful. Why is he powerful? Because he has completely realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna by hearing Bhagavatam from his learned father, Srila Vyasadeva. So he heard, Suta Goswami is saying here that at that place where Shukadev Goswami was reciting Bhagavatam in the presence of Maharaj Parikshit and other great personalities, I heard this from the great Viprarshi, from the great Brahmana Rishi, who is greatly powerful. Bhuri Tejasaha. Aham Chadhyagamam. Aham. I also went there. Cha Adhyagamam. I could understand. Adhyaya. Adhyapana. Adhyapana means teaching. Adhyayana means studying. So here Adhyagamam means I could understand because I heard from Shukadev Goswami. And how did I hear? He's saying Tatra in that meeting, Nivishtaha. I heard with being perfectly attentive. So Suta Goswami is teaching us all how should we be hearing Bhagavatam. We should be hearing with perfect attention. And Prabhupada is commenting on this word nivishtaha in the purport as we read just now. Nivishtaha means it's like drinking through the ears, right? He is drinking the nectar of Bhagavatam. Suta Goswami drank the nectar of Bhagavatam as it was pouring out of the lotus lips of Shukadev Goswami. He is drinking it. Even the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, we have seen this, right? Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. Please drink this Bhagavatam. Pibata Bhagavatam. Please drink. Please relish this Bhagavatam. Like that, in the very beginning, Vyasadeva is calling all the people. Please come, hear Bhagavatam. Like that. So here, Suta Goswami is saying, Nivishtaha. In that meeting, when Shukadev Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam, I was hearing with rapt attention. So attention is very, very important when we are discussing Krishna Katha. It should not happen that we are sitting physically in front of our gadgets, but our mind is absorbed in some other thing. Then this cannot help us to develop attachment to Krishna. Right? So when we are hearing Bhagavatam, our full 100% attention should be on trying to understand each and every word that is spoken and trying to understand it properly with the right intention. So that is how Suta Goswami heard from Shukadev Goswami, and that is how he got empowered with this knowledge and he got realization, and that is why he was able to speak and repeat the same knowledge to the sages of Naimisharanya. So aham chadhyagamam tatra nivishtas tad anugraha. Now this is very important. Now he is not saying that by my own ability, because I had great control on my senses and on my mind, I was able to hear with rapt attention. Therefore, I have assimilated the entire message of Bhagavatam. Suta Goswami is not saying like that. He's saying tat anugraha. By his mercy. Whose mercy? By the mercy of Srila Shukadev Goswami, I was able to understand. Now, this is very, very important. See, in Bhakti Yoga, two things have to go on parallelly. One is our endeavor and constantly our efforts to practice sadhana bhakti. Along with that, constant seeking of the mercy of Guru and Krishna. These two things have to happen together. Right? Both are required for our progress in spiritual life. Only our endeavors alone, if we become too proud, see, I am such a great devotee, I am chanting so attentively. If you become proud like that, no, it will not work out. We have to put our efforts, but we should always depend on the anugraha, the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna. In fact, in one place, Prabhupada says, a disciple is made up of the mercy particles of his spiritual master. What are we made up of? Generally we say, no, we are a self-made man. People say, I'm a self-made woman. I am independent. This is how people take pleasure in identifying themselves in the mainstream world. But as far as the Krishna conscious community of devotees is concerned, a devotee should think that I am made up of the mercy of the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas. Whatever I am today, wherever I stand in bhakti today, to whatever degree I have developed devotional service attitude towards Guru and Krishna, that is all because of the anugraha of the devotees, anugraha of my spiritual master, anugraha of Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, the ocean of mercy. This we have to always remind ourselves. We should never take eyes out of this anugraha. We should not say, now I know the entire philosophy, from so many years I have understood. Now I am also doing very good sadhana, so I am very well situated now. No, that is pride. And Krishna does not like his devotees to become pride. We should not become proud. So we should always, Suta Goswami is teaching here, I was hearing with rapt attention, but I was able to understand the message that was spoken because of the anugraha, because of the mercy of Srila Shukadev Goswami. This is humility, right? So one side it appears that if you see only I was hearing with rapt attention, it could appear that, oh, he's so proud. He was hearing with so rapt attention. It appears like that. But very Next word that he's saying, Tad Anugraha. By his mercy, I was able to hear with rapt attention. I was able to understand the message of Bhagavatam. That is humility. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, while listing the 20 items of knowledge in the 13th chapter, Krishna is saying humility as the first and the foremost item of knowledge. When do you say that a person is truly knowledgeable? If he is actually humble. Humble means he will not take credit for himself. He'll always depend on the mercy of the Lord. That is humble. So Tad Anugrahat is very, very important, right? We should hear Bhagavatam with rapt attention. At the same time, we should depend on the mercy of Guru and Krishna so that they will shine forth the realization within our heart. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita. That is a very important point. Then Suta Goswami is continuing. Soham, Soham, Saha, Aham. If you split the word Soham, it is Saha, Aham. That very thing, Saha means that very thing, Aham, I, Vaha, unto you, all the sages of Naimisharanya who are all eager to hear Bhagavatam from me. Whatever I heard that day when Shukadeva Goswami spoke in the assembly to Parikshit Maharaj on the banks of Ganga, that great Bhuri Tejasa, greatly powerful Viprarshi, the sage among the Brahmanas, the Rishis, that is Shukadeva Goswami, he spoke the Bhagavatam. No, that day I was hearing with rapt attention, Nivishtaha, and Tad Anugraha, by his mercy, I was able to assimilate that knowledge. That same knowledge I'm going to tell you today. Shravayishyami is very beautiful word it is. Shravayishyami means I shall make you hear. I shall make you hear. That means here again, the process of Shravanam is stressed here. Bhagavatam has to be received through Shravanam, through hearing from a realized soul. We are all very fortunate. We are getting to hear the Bhakti Vedanta purports, getting to study the Bhakti Vedanta purports of self-realized pure devotee of the Lord Srila Prabhupada. This is Shravayishyami. So Prabhupada says all my books are recorded realizations. So Prabhupada's books, if you're studying, these are all recorded realizations of Srila Prabhupada. Right? So Shravayishyami, I shall cause you to hear. Suta Goswami is saying, I shall let you hear. And then he's saying, last line, very important, Yatha dhitam yatha mati. Yatha, yatha means as much as far as. Yatha dhitam yatha mati means as far as my realization, I will cause you to hear. I will make you hear. Right? This is very, very important. Okay. So, from whomever you're hearing, he or she can tell you only as much as his or her realizations that he or she has experienced, isn't it? Now, this is exactly the reason why we should not accept anybody who is not an Uttamadikari as the spiritual master. Right? Why? Because suppose if, let's say, I have reached a certain level of realization in Krishna consciousness. Now, when I preach to somebody, the maximum that I can convince or bring that elevate that soul is to the level that I have achieved. Isn't it? Now, if you accept somebody as the spiritual master who must be respected, worshipped as good as God, but he is falling short of being a Uttamadikari, a pure devotee, then it's a danger, no, for the disciple. That means, therefore, yathadhitam yathamati. If we want to get the highest realization, if we want to get access to the highest realization of Krishna consciousness and Bhagavatam, then we have to hear from a pure devotee spiritual master. We have to accept a pure devotee spiritual master as our guru, not anybody else who is lesser than that. As far as guru is concerned, we cannot accept anyone who is less than a pure devotee Mahabhagavata. This is very, very important. So here, Suta Goswami is saying, as far as my realization allows, as far as what I have realized, that much I will make you hear, O sages of Naimisharanya. So, few things that Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. First thing, as Prabhupada is saying, that in every page of Bhagavatam, one can directly perceive the presence of Lord Krishna if one has heard it from the self realized great soul like Shukadev Goswami. That is the condition. Even though Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna, if we want to perceive Krishna's presence in every shloka, every word, every page of Bhagavatam, it has to be heard from a person who is self realized like Shukadev Goswami. And Prabhupada is saying one should not hear from a bogus hired reciter of Bhagavatam who is just doing it for his livelihood and who is also not engaged in the principles, not properly following the principles. No? Such a person, if you hear, there is no use. So Prabhupada is saying, no one can learn Srimad Bhagavatam who is associated with persons engaged in sex life. That is the secret of learning Bhagavatam. Nor can one learn Bhagavatam from one who interprets the text by his mundane scholarship. One has to hear Bhagavatam from the representative of Shukadev Goswami and no one else. If one at all wants to see Lord Sri Krishna in the pages, again and again Prabhupada is saying, if you want to perceive Krishna's presence in every page of Bhagavatam, you must hear from a pure devotee, self-realized soul who is a representative of Shukadev Goswami. And here Suta Goswami is bona fide because he is a pakka, pure representative of Shukadev Goswami. And because he wants to present the message which he received from Shukadev Goswami, as it is, as he has realized. He is not interpreting what Shukadev Goswami said, he is presenting it as it is. Yatha matihi, as it is, as he has realized. That is one point. Then, another point that Prabhupada mentioning here is, it's not that our hearing of Bhagavatam should not be mechanical. Oh, everyday ritual is there. I have to sit in the Bhagavatam class and I have to hear. No. Prabhupada is saying here, simple hearing is not all. One must realize the text with proper attention. Very important. The word Nivishta means that Suta Goswami drank the juice of Bhagavatam through his ears. This is the real process of receiving Bhagavatam. One should hear with rapt attention from the real person, and then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. So there are 3 R's here. 3 R's. First R is hear with rapt attention. Means without diverting your mind to anybody else, anything else. And you have to hear, second R is from the real person, the representative of Shukadev Goswami. From him you have to hear. Rapt attention from the real person. Then what will happen? Then one can, third R, realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. That is the 3R method of hearing Bhagavatam. Hear with rapt attention from the real person, then you will realize the presence of Krishna in every page of Bhagavatam. 3R. So that is the secret of knowing Bhagavatam, Prabhupada is saying. And one more important thing. Now, how to get this rapt attention, Prabhupada is saying. Another very interesting, very powerful statement Prabhupada is saying. If you want rapt attention, what you should do in your life? Why we don't get rapt attention many times? Why our mind, our attention is diverted? It is multi-branched. So Prabhupada is saying, no one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. If our thoughts are not pure, if we are harboring sense gratificatory thoughts, anti-Krishna conscious thoughts in our mind, then our mind is impure. And if our mind is impure, we cannot give rapt attention when Krishna Katha is being discussed. Because the mind will not allow us to pay full attention to Krishna Katha because there are already so many thoughts which are getting processed in the mind constantly. Thoughts about sense gratification. I'll take another 10 minutes. So here, Prabhupada is saying no one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. So we have to make our mind pure. How to make our mind pure? By always remembering the Lord. In the Garuda Purana, Prabhupada quotes this verse from the Garuda Purana, and Prabhupada says that, in whatever condition one may be, whether impure or pure, yasmaret pundarikaksham sabahya abhyantara shuchihi. अपवित्र पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्था गतोपि वा यस्मरेत् पुंडरीकाक्षम सबाह्य अभ्यंतर शुचिहि. We all know how to take bahya shuchi. Shuchi means external cleanliness. How to take care of that? By taking bath. But abhyantara shuchihi, internal cleanliness, cleanliness of the mind. How do you maintain purification of your mind and thoughts? The Garuda Purana is telling the secret. What is that? Apavitra pavitrova. You may be in a clean state or unclean state. Doesn't matter. Sarva avastha gatopiva. You may have gone through so many different situations in your life. Some not so good, some not so good situations. But if you do one thing, immediately you will become cleansed both externally and internally. What is that? Uh, you have to remember Pundari Kaksha. That is Krishna. Pundarikaksha means the Lord who has lotus eyes. Pundarika means lotus. Aksha means eyes. Yasmaret, smarana, smaret pundarikakshaha sabahya abhyantara shuchihi. So if we want to attain stage of rapt attention, for that first we have to purify our mind. And to purify our mind, the process is to remember Krishna. Never forget Krishna, always remember Krishna. Easiest way to remember Krishna is to chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Our prescribed rounds on our beats, definitely we should chant with full attention. But apart from that, over and above our prescribed rounds, even without beats, throughout the day, whenever you are getting time, you should keep remembering Krishna. Keep chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So when we are always chanting the holy names of the Lord, by the association of Krishna, we become pure in mind. That is why every now and then Krishna is telling this in the Bhagavad Gita. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Krishna is saying, always you chant my holy names. The pure devotees are doing this, Krishna says. Then Krishna is saying, Matchitta satatam bhava. Always be conscious of me in every walk of life, in every activity that you are doing. Be conscious of me. Then Krishna is saying, Ma manusmara. Always constantly remember me. Smarana means remembering. Anusmarana means constantly, always you remember me. Mana, think of me. Always you think of me. Like this, so many places Krishna is saying. And Krishna is saying in the 8th chapter, if you always remember me, I am very sulabha, very easy to attain. I'm very easy to attain. So here Prabhupada is saying no one can attain, no one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. So we have to first purify our mind. Now how to purify? Prabhupada is saying no one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. Right? So we have to be pure in our action. And how to be pure in our action? Prabhupada is saying no one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These 4 things have to be purified. Right? That means it's an entire change of perception about our life itself, which has to be adopted. So eating, sleeping has to be purified. What do you mean by eating, sleeping, purified? It has to be done in accordance with Krishna's instructions. So we should make a firm resolve that I shall eat only Krishna prasadam. Then eating will be purified. Yes, it may be challenging, but it is not impossible. So if we continue to do what we are doing, we will continue to get what we have been getting. So if you want, you know, radical change, if you want transformation, we must also be ready to take some radical steps in our life. Many times we are so hesitant. Oh, how it is possible? How can I take only prasadam? How can I give up onion and garlic? Isn't it? So our onion and garlic attachment will keep us bound to the cycle of birth and death. If we want to attain Krishna, we should develop attachment to Krishna, not that we develop attachment to our onion and garlic for the taste. You know, the tongue is such a small area. Just to please the tongue, we want to eat varieties of foodstuffs. But as soon as the food crosses the tongue, enters the food pipe, and then it goes to the other digestive tract, where is the perception of taste? That means it's a cheating business, no? This falling victim to this taste is actually a cheating. Just for one small patch of taste buds on our tongue, we are sacrificing the biggest gain that we can get, that is attaining pure love for Krishna. So we have to make choices. Should I lead my life based on what my tongue tells me, or should I lead my life based on what the scriptures, what the spiritual master is telling? We have to make choices in our life, isn't it? So we have to purify our eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating, you know, and in this way, our actions become pure. When our actions become pure, our mind becomes pure. Mind actually becomes pure, then we can actually give rapt attention to Krishna Katha. So then Prabhupada is saying, but somehow or other, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person, see again Prabhupada is repeating the same thing, rapt attention from the right person. At the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Sri Krishna in person in the pages of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is not saying at the end of your life you will be able to see Krishna in every page of Bhagavatam. No, Prabhupada is not giving a post-dated check like that. Prabhupada is saying somehow or other, if you hear with rapt attention from the right person, at the very beginning, you can assuredly, Prabhupada is using this adverb, assuredly see Lord Sri Krishna in person in the pages of Bhagavatam. That means it's not an ordinary thing that Prabhupada is promising to us. If we change our lifestyle, which is suitable for Krishna conscious practice, and chant the holy names, in that way purify our existence, and then study Bhagavatam with rapt attention from the right person, then very soon we will be able to realize Krishna. This is what Prabhupada is saying. So, Prabhupada is ending this third chapter, very, very, very strong statements and very powerful statements, and we must take it very seriously and try to follow these instructions. And then study Bhagavatam, then we will be able to understand Bhagavatam very nicely. And understanding Bhagavatam is the secret to actually begin to love Krishna. We cannot develop loving devotional service towards Krishna unless we realize Bhagavatam. So therefore, Bhagavatam is so important. So we have to pay full attention and purify our mind and hear Bhagavatam. So we have come to the end of the third chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam. And from tomorrow, we shall be beginning the fourth chapter, that is called The Appearance of Sri Narada. So we'll close here. Anyone has any questions or quick comments we can take before we close?
I have one question, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Who is this?
Pranab.
Pranab.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
So,
Yes. Yes.
Here is Sutta Goswami and one is Sukadev Goswami.
Yeah,
So, so Sutta heard from Sukadev Goswami and Sukadev Goswami from his father about Srimad
yeah,
Bhagavatam.
yeah,
Now, who is this Sutta?
yeah.
I got the disconnect. Sutta
Okay.
Goswami.
Suta Goswami was one of the sages who was also present during the time of Parikshit Maharaj, accepting the uh, vow of fasting until death, and he assembled on the battle. Sorry, he assembled on the banks of river Ganga. So he was also one of the great devotees, one of the rishis who was present there, right? And he heard from Shukadev Goswami. Is it okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I heard, I think maybe in Prabhupada lecture or something, that Sutta Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam while Lord Shiva narrating Srimad Bhagavatam. I got disconnected, Prabhu.
No,
Maybe
as far
Radha's
okay.
Radha's parrot. It is something related to parrot.
No, no, uh, no, not like that. As far as I know, as far as what I've heard from Prabhupada and from his books, Suta Goswami was one of the devotees, one of the uh, rishis who was also present at the time when Shukadev Goswami was speaking the Bhagavatam. We will see this in the coming chapters. More details about
Okay,
Suta
okay,
Goswami will come. And when Parikshit Maharaj was hearing Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami on the banks of Ganga, it was not a one-to-one conversation. I mean, it was not that only Parikshit Maharaj got to hear. In fact, there's a big list of various personalities who had all assembled there to hear Bhagavatam because it's a rare occasion and it's something very special. So, therefore, from different planetary systems, different personalities, rishis, sages, devatas, and Narad Muni himself, you know, they had all
mm,
come there to hear Bhagavatam. So, Suta Goswami was one of them who was
okay,
also hearing. And Suta Goswami is given in charge of narrating the Puranas. Okay, so he always, not only in Bhagavata Purana, you will find the mention of Suta Goswami in several other Puranas also. He's speaking the Puranas to the sages. So,
mm,
hope that answers your
okay.
question.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
So, thank you so much
Actually,
for who is that? Hare Krishna.
no, Prabhu. Actually, what Prabhu had told was that even which I have heard is originally the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Lord Shiva to Mother Parvati, but she slept off.
Mm,
But Radharani's parrot Sukha was
mm,
hearing the complete Bhagavatam, and that is how
mm.
Sukadeva Goswami could speak the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. That is what one version I have read. I think as you said rightly, we have to follow Srila Prabhupada, but nothing of that sort is mentioned anywhere.
Now, this is mentioned in other scriptures. In Bhagavatam, this is not mentioned. I've also heard this version, but this is not mentioned in the Bhagavatam. It is mentioned in some other scriptures. Okay,
Yes, Prabhu.
so
That's what I said.
Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So we'll close here. Thank you very much. So we shall start a new chapter tomorrow, the fourth chapter, the appearance of Sri Narada. Thank you very much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय विश्व गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.